What's up, it's Playstand, and once again, it is preview season for Magic the Gathering. Well, preview season doesn't seem to really stop, but recently at MagicCon Chicago, Wizards revealed and previewed a bunch of upcoming cards and product. This video was originally going to be going over Fallout previews, but then they showed more Fallout previews, and then they showed stuff for Bloomburrow, then Outlaws at Thunder Junction, then Modern Horizons 3, then Assassin's Creed, and so on. And so I'm just going to go through some of the things that stood out to me personally, and then maybe share my thoughts about all these previews as a whole. I can't really say that I am a particular fan of Fallout, so I can't really rate these on the flavor, although like Panharmonicon being a harmonica is pretty funny. A lot of these cards are pretty interesting design-wise, because a lot of them deal with stuff like energy, and there's dice rolling as well, and goading, and artifacts. And these are things that we don't see a whole lot of in Commander. I mean, artifacts we obviously see, but more streamlined, focused, I guess, artifact themed deck. But anyway, they also showed these Bloomburrow cards. Bloomburrow having all these funny animals. Excited to see more otters and otter card types. They did also show the otter Ralzeric, which is funny, and the fox Jace, which are funny. I believe at least the Jace is going to be in a special guest type slot. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with other planeswalkers, if that takes up more of those slots. Yeah, lots of underrepresented tribes in Magic should be getting some more support. And overall, I'm looking forward to this set. Should be pretty interesting, a bit different from the usual. Then there is the Outlaws at Thunder Junction previews. The Oko looks cool. Tiny Bones looks pretty good. Committing crimes is now like a keyword in Magic, which is something. I'm not a huge fan of these particular treatments, just because it's a bit confusing, especially with the big prosperity at the top. The wanted posters are pretty neat. Even though I'm not a huge fan of them personally, I still like them, think they're neat. Hell to Pay looks like a pretty interesting card. I really like these basic lands. Any basic land that has like the mana symbols on it. Those are usually pretty big hits. Then there's Modern Horizons 3. A Lelia reprint. It's getting a cool Commander Master style showcase as well. Some colorless support in It That Heralds the End, which I'm really excited about. I have a colorless Zuladoc deck that will definitely appreciate having this card in it. Gremlins and more energy counters in Modern Horizons. Another Emrakul print. It's not super strong, and then this one has like 5 printings, which I am not a huge fan of. Planeswalkers like Ajani and Tamio are getting creature cards that flip into their Planeswalker side, which I think is really cool. Definitely looking forward to those. And then from Modern Horizons 3, we're moving on to Assassin's Creed. Same thing with Fallout. I can't really claim to be a particular fan of Assassin's Creed, so again, I can't speak to the flavor. It is very funny, though, seeing Leonardo da Vinci being a Magic the Gathering creature, and some of these cards have pretty cool designs. Cleopatra's interesting. There's like 5-color assassins, and this new free-running keyword. So it looks like it should be pretty cool. Definitely for people who are fans of Assassin's Creed, it should be pretty nice. Another Bloomburrow card. Pretty cool for land decks, especially land decks that care about the graveyard. So something like Thalian the Gitrog monster, definitely going to like this. These are seasonal basics, which I really like the idea of, and I think they look very nice. But then, as far as like deck building, it is a bit weird, because I will want to have my basics in multiples of 4 to have even amounts of each season. Anyway, there is more Fallout stuff, especially lots of legendary creatures. A lot of these Universes Beyond sets end up having a lot of legendary creatures just because these worlds, these universes have a lot of named characters that if you were to represent in a card would end up being legendary. So yeah, there's some pretty unique card designs. There's rad counters. There's new rad counters coming with these, and then there's a lot of like returning mechanics. I believe Squad was in the Warhammer ones, and just a lot of unique mechanics, which is nice to see. There's junk tokens. That's one of the new things as well. If we look over here, this is a separate article about Modern Horizons 3. Some of the fetches are getting reprints, which is definitely nice. I gotta stop saying here is some of the Tameo art, which is pretty neat to see, especially for fans of the lore. These full art Eldrazi kind of themed lands look really nice. And like I said, there's a lot of different printings of Emrakul. Some more full art treatment cards. Here is the Commander Masters style treatment for Lelia. Some old retro borders. Different treatments for fetches. And yeah, here is one of the things I wanted to touch on is Modern Horizons 3 is getting Commander Precons. And the worry here is that they're going to be like the Commander Masters ones, where they're very, very expensive. And even though Commander Masters precons were very, very good, they were some of the best precons, like strength-wise, they just didn't have the value to support such a high price tag, and it hurt both consumers who wanted to buy them but were maybe priced out, and then also local game stores who had to pay an inflated cost from distributors and then have a really hard time selling sometimes because these high costs kept some consumers out. But anyway, there is a Jund Graveyard Overdrive, a Tricky Terrain Simic deck based on clone effects most likely, a Jeskai Energy counter theme deck, which should be pretty interesting. And the one I really wanted to talk about, or at least touch base on, is this Eldrazi Incursion. Well, it's 5 colors, but they also included the colorless pip in here. And I'm really, really actually excited for this. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they implement it, because for a while, Eldrazi have these cards that are devoid, so they're colorless, but they have colored pips in the casting cost, which means you can't run them in a colorless deck. So if you wanted to use any of those cards, you would be stuck with pretty much just Morophon as your best commander option, or maybe Joda for big mana. But yeah, to kind of play all the Eldrazi cards, you really haven't had many good options for commander. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they implement this, just because, especially when they include the colorless pip in here, it's going to be interesting to see how they implement paying colored and colorless casting costs. I was thinking about maybe it's replacing like colored pips with colorless pips, like you can pay colored casting costs just with colorless mana. That could be a way to do it without screwing over your mana base. But anyway, really excited to see what this deck entails. But people aren't exactly thrilled with the fact that Modern Horizons 3 has commander decks, and especially because there are collector edition decks. So people are concerned about prices, and then non-commander players are getting pretty tired of seeing commander in their products, in just products in general, especially products that aren't designed for commander, like Modern Horizons 3. So while I, as a commander player, am happy for this, I can understand why people aren't necessarily looking forward to it. Here is the first look at Bloomburrow. We're going to have lots of underrepresented creature card type tribes showing up here, which I'm looking forward to. And then, like I said, here is the Otter Ralzeric. Finally, the Courageous Critters Showcase treatment invites you to envision renowned planeswalkers and creatures were they to visit the plane of Bloomburrow. I'm looking forward to this. I think the Fox Jace and the Otter Ral are just really funny. And then that's definitely a slot that could have some really nice planeswalker and creature reprints. So I'm looking forward to that. Pretty excited for Bloomburrow. Some raccoon, bird, rabbit, squirrel decks. Should be a good time. Looking forward to this one. I just want to go over the previews. Overall, obviously, I love Magic, so it should seem like more products is a good thing. But especially with the sentiment, if you don't like it, you don't have to interact with it. But I think that's a pretty silly response, because people who like the game want to keep up with it best they can, and people are valid if you are feeling a bit overwhelmed with cards being previewed from 5 different sets and expansions, and it's being spoiled over the course of really just a few hours or the weekend at MagicCon Chicago. And while I'm definitely looking forward to some of this stuff, a lot of this stuff really, I really wish Wizards would slow down and maybe draw out the previews a bit and give us time to enjoy them a bit more, because it's just a lot to keep up with, and it can be a bit much, especially when all this stuff is being shown in such a short amount of time. But anyway, let me know what you think of all the previews, if there's anything you're looking forward to, if you think there's too many previews, if you don't care, whatever, etc. And I'll see you later.